You've probably already seen that AI can turn one image into a 3D character. That's impressive, but honestly, what's the point of one static 3D object? That is not how things are in games. So here's the idea. How about I tell you, just as easy, you can create whole customizable character with multiple assets, a full avatar with own wardrobe where you can change hats, glasses, outfits, shoes. In this video, I'm gonna take you through entire workflow how to create this customizable character from concepting to generating 3D model, rigging, AI texturing, and we're gonna bring it to Unreal Engine, and we're gonna even create a web app with Claude Code. And this one, guys, is really fun one. But just before we start, give me 10 seconds to thank you guys. Really, thank you a lot. I just received this award and I cannot believe it actually happened to me. I really thank you all for the support, for the trust. I do put a lot of effort and I read all the comments, guys, you left, and many of my videos was actually inspired by your comments. So, guys, leave comments, leave likes. I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna try make better content for you guys. Thanks a lot. So what are we gonna create? I was actually thinking quite a lot, and we're gonna create Pepe with all rights kept to original author, just a fun project. So the idea was about customizable character, but I already created a fantasy one once. I wanted to make fun, and I want to recap on what happened like in the world in the past 5 years, and I think Pepe will do just fine because we can create a bunch of cool assets, and you can already see how I was brainstorming that. So just wait until the end. Like it ended up like hilarious. Also, my inspiration was coming like from this cool demos on Reddit and X when people were showing like what they wipe code with design. I'm gonna show you how to do that also in the end of this video. We're gonna put it all together and there will be a link, guys, so you can play around with it. Now the first step, we're gonna need to finalize assets that we're gonna generate with 3D. So here's my final list, and I think we're gonna start with the character. So for the character, here's my final one. Again, the character is pretty simple. There are 4 fingers. We don't need to split it even more, but I'm gonna still create heads separately. Then of course, let's bring it to Tripo and generate 3D models. I'm gonna use Smart Mesh. This is pretty much the best option when you work with such style. Again, I'm gonna generate them optimized right away. I'm gonna generate body and the head. And here you can see the results. I'm gonna choose right poly count per each asset where I need details or not. So for head, I chose 7, and that's pretty much the perfect result. It's not good, it's like perfect result. So before texturing, however, here's the trick. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna bring both of the parts to Blender on the part with head. I'm gonna cut the heads and I'm gonna actually merge another head. The reason why I not generate body without head is just for the proportion overall reference. If you generate body without the head, so you don't know where neck looks, etc. So it's actually way easier to create body with head, remove the head and replace with detailed, more accurate one. So which I'm gonna do actually. So we're gonna do that before texture. So there are a bunch of simple tools how you can merge them. So for example, here I selected the loop on bottom, on the top, and right click, and there are loop tools, and there's bridge. So basically doing a bridge between 2 loops. Boom. And yeah, that's pretty much it. We can add a little bit more segments. The last thing we're gonna need to do, go to the object mode. We're gonna fix the shading and my favorite sculpting mode to just smooth the area after it's connected, right? And boom, just like that. And there's also elastic grab, so we can adjust the shape. And guys, this is for real super easy and give you so much control, especially when you're working with 3D AI. And there's a bunch of free videos on my channel explaining basics, only basics in Blender, so you can do exactly the same very fast. But if you are serious about it, great news, guys. I just recently launched my complete 3D AI course to create a game-ready character where I share with you 10% of 3D skills, best 3D AI tools, how to combine them all together and get great results in just 1 week. With AI, it's really possible right now. So moving on, I'm pretty happy with my body already. I'm gonna hide eyes. I'm gonna not remove them. I'm gonna hide them and export the mesh alone. And also what I did, I actually did a quick UV because the mesh is quite good. So you can see like I just added like some seams just to get my texture safe and sound. And there are free add-ons plugins for Blender such as UV Packer that can help with it even better. That's a skill that you learn for 5 minutes and it's improve your workflow working with AI generated and stuff. Now, dropping this back to Tripo, we're gonna set the rotation and we keep use original UE, which is great. Now we go to texture, we're gonna upload the very same image that we started with and just let's generate texture. And here is the result. This is amazing result. For ice, we're gonna create a simple texture in Blender, just a blank texture, name it eye texture, connect it, and in Blender, there's quite easy texture paint. So what we're gonna need, we're gonna just fill it with the white color, then take a brush and we just need to do one brush stroke with a black color. Boom. And Pepe eyes are quite easy and we can just adjust roughness. With realistic eyes is also very simple. You can create a sphere, unwrap it, generate eye texture with Nano Banana and just project it here. We do have our body ready. Now let's create assets. So what about assets? I prepared quite a lot, guys. Let me know in the comments if you agree with my list or if I missed something important. My idea behind assets was very simple. Last 5 years was extremely intense for all of us and there was quite a few historical moments. Of course, I couldn't skip MAGA, Apple Vision Pro, Spinner, Wave. I highly do not recommend to use this thing, but it was everywhere. The Starbucks, this culture like grabbing Starbucks coffee, well, and of course the period where we all have to wear masks. And how about easy? Okay guys, I'm gonna start generating models. Well, you can drop a comment what you think about. For the assets, it's quite simple. We're gonna still use Smart Mesh. Again, like just set the right poly count and you get amazing results. So you see the results I'm getting and I'm pretty happy. I created like that all of the assets really. And for some assets, you can actually use the same mesh and just retexture it. So you don't even need to generate mesh. If that's a hoodie, like you can just use the hoodie, right? Which I actually did for GPT and borrowed a hoodie. I think results were good, but there are of course some problems such as this. So the text was not perfect, we're a little bit corrupted, especially with the Supreme hat, but there's definitely not a Supreme. But that's not a problem. I'm gonna show you how to fix that in no time with another AI tool. And Starbucks coffee, for example, was completely disrupted on the backside. You can see it here. So we're gonna fix it too as well. And to fix it, we're gonna go to Modif tool. And here it works pretty simple. Again, we're gonna paint an area that is disrupted. Then we're gonna generate an image and just project it with the right text. So yeah, look how it's done. I have a full video especially about this tool. Note this is a free tool still, which is amazing. And I actually rate it quite high. And just like that, in no time, we just fixed the texture. So, I mean, the same approach works for any texture. Again, like you can bring your object and then export back the color texture. You can fix it in no time. You can texture the whole object if you are not happy with any other. But my main workflow is to do the base texturing in Tripo and only fix on demand, because that will save you so much time. And in case of simple object, you get them perfect right away. You can also add the PBR upscale. They also recently updated segmentation to version 2, which become way more usable, and crazy 8K texture. Yeah, of course. I tested 8K texture and it's quite nice. And according to the arena, it's top 1 still. So I'm using that with my team and recommend you to at least try. By my link in the description, you get crazy 800 free credits. So give it a try. When all assets are generated, it's time to bring them back to Blender. Why? Because we're gonna assemble them and make sure they fit the body. So this one is the easiest and funniest part because you can go to sculpt mode, and again there are a few brushes such as elastic grab, smooth brush. You can work with low poly mesh in sculpt mode as well. That's legal. For what? For just moving things around, right? And here you can see what I just did. I'm gonna just go through each asset, position it right according to the body, and just make sure they overlay nicely. We're gonna do that for garment, everything except the holdables. For holdables, we're gonna do it a little bit different way, but with everything is pretty much the same workflow. You can just move around, scale, rotate objects. If that's not enough, just go to the sculpt mode and adjust them with elastic grab or move brush, etc. So all process is recorded, guys, and you can see that I'm not using anything but the mentioned tools. Again, that's the cool thing about AI. It already solves the difficult part of like creating the mesh. That's truly difficult, especially if you want to learn how to do that in Blender. You're gonna spend quite a lot of time. Now, when the mesh is done, we're gonna need to put things together, and I truly believe that will be the biggest skill soon, how you put things together, like where you need your taste, your judgment. And in my course, guys, I'm focused on that 10% of skills that you need to know about 3D tools to be able to get max of AI, and most importantly, get things done fast for your game, for your personal project, for 3D printing, anything. And just in 30 minutes, I got my all assets done and aligned with the body, which means that we are ready to do the rigging. How are we gonna do that? So we do have a tool called Acrylic. So we're gonna export this right and bring it to the Acrylic. Little bit about export. Of course, any holdables we're gonna not export, and we technically do not need to export duplicates, because later we can just swap material and rig it on only one. And one thing that many don't know, that you don't need to join the objects. You can actually export them all together, separated, and we actually need to keep them separated. Then when we're gonna get mesh back, it will be separated, and we just can assign the materials if they are broken. Okay, so gonna export in FBX, and let's go to the Acrylic. There is a separate free video on my YouTube channel about rigging, about this Acrylic tool, and about some tips how to fix them afterwards. Here I'm gonna move quick and explain my workflow. So of course we start with Acrylic. There's markers to set, quite easy and fast. For hand rig, we're gonna select 4 fingers. Do not skip that one because we do have 4 fingers. Then again, the process is pretty simple. You just do what it suggests and set the markers right. Then we're gonna go press calibrate, and here's the results. Well, it's quite good. There are common problems usually in armpits, or if you do have like fat belly character or like non-standard proportions, there are options to do pose offset for your specific character that might be actually needed if you use a stylet. And in my case, we're pretty cool. Acrylic is free, and there are a bunch of free animations, but how they earn, they basically sell other animations. They're not that expensive, but again, you're not forced to buy them. You can just export. Just for the purpose of this video, I'm gonna find 2 animations, one the idle animation and one idle with something in the hand. Why we're gonna need that? Because like we do have a state when he holds something. 2 animations found. Let's export it to the Blender. We're gonna export them for Blender because we're gonna have fun creating a web app with Claude, but I also gonna do that with Unreal Engine. So in that case, you export for Unreal Engine. Now we're gonna check on the weights. So for rigid accessories such as Apple Vision Pro or any hats or any glasses, we're gonna need to make sure that it is attached only to the head bone. How do we do that? There is a trick how to do that. We can go into the vertex groups and we can lock the head bone. Then we're gonna go to this arrow and delete all unlocked group. Boom. That's how we actually leave only heads in the relation. We can go through each asset and do the same thing. That's pretty much equivalent to if we're gonna go to asset and set it 100% on the head bone. But this approach for this specific case is just faster, so we're gonna do that. A rigid accessory can be not only around head, it can be something around waist. In that case, just make sure you attach it to the right bone to follow. Then I also did some revision on the armpit area. Again, this is the most common issue, so I just fixed it a little bit with the brush. In my dedicated lesson video about rigging, I show how to do that. It's quite easy. You just work like with bones and skin. Basically, the painted area means that this bone is affected by that skin. By controlling this distribution, you get different results. And the last thing we're gonna do is that we're gonna separate legs and body, and we will allow an option like body alone without the waist. But inside games, we usually care about optimization, which means that if there is something covering the body, we do not want to show that covered part. So usually that mesh is hidden or removed at the moment of we're wearing like t-shirt or pants. So for that purpose, we're gonna draw some lines and we're gonna hide the body, and actually we're gonna separate body and legs into a specific object, and they will be in the same category. So we either show legs or we show pants, and they do not cover each other, which also causing some problems with animation sometimes. So that's good to have, but again, that's not always needed, only when it's really cover it. For head, even some heads cover some part. I'm not gonna do that because they cover different part of head all the time, and that will be more mess. Just a game development tip from Steph. And lastly, let's enable animation where he have these hands like he's holding something, and we're gonna attach these accessories to the hand. So we're gonna pretty much parent them to the bones the same way. As I said, you can weight it to any bone really. So yeah, I found this like right hand bone and we're gonna parent to it. And now you can see it actually follows, right? Follows the bone. Same thing you're gonna do for the rest. And the idea is that we're gonna only show these holdables in this animation. If there is no coffee, for example, nothing, then we're gonna show another idle animation. You're gonna see that in the moment. Well, now we are ready to move to the fun part. Which we're gonna do first? Unreal Engine or web app? Actually, let's quickly add it to Unreal Engine. So the only difference here would be that I choose another skeleton when exporting from Acrylic. That will be Unreal Engine 5 skeleton. Then we're gonna bring the character with all the assets to the Unreal Engine, and let's preview. Again, some assets will be exported separately, some together. We're gonna do retarget animation, replace it on the default blueprint of third person. That's my favorite template. And there will be some play with blueprints, how to replace that. And pretty much what happened next is depends on your game logic. You're gonna build some UI or customization system. In my case, I'm gonna build simple blueprints so I can actually just swap the objects around. And if you're not familiar with blueprints and wonder if Claude Code can actually help, then next week there will be video on my channel when I show you how to connect Claude Code to Unreal Engine to do all that stuff. So subscribe to not miss this out. And just after a while, here we go. But you already saw that before. Now let's make real fun. We're gonna create a web application. How we're gonna do that? We're gonna need Claude Code and bunch of skills, bunch of amazing skills. We're gonna need designer skill and stitch skills from Google. Here you can see the links how to install them. You're gonna see names of all skills I used on the screen. The idea is that we're gonna start with Grill Me skill, which is one of the coolest Claude Code productivity skill, which start asking you a lot of questions, and you're gonna create brief. Then you're gonna use design brief to describe like what we want. In my case, I actually wanted to make some simple UI where we can select that stuff. And while in the process, something actually hit me that we're gonna sort of like measure this style, and there's a slang word called drip. So we're gonna do some serious drip, and that actually became the name of the app. So we're gonna style our guy and measure his drip level. Then the main skill will be the stitch loop. So we're gonna do the whole iteration and build the whole app. And Claude skill called front-end design. With them together, you're ready to do the full application. I really recommend to ask it first, create a plan, and you can review that. That's respected. There's a skill called brief to task. That will make result more stable, and that's like a general tip using Claude Code. Plan first, set tasks, and watch it work. And you really need to review that for best result. After things are done, there is a skill called design review that helps to double check himself. And of course, I had to export my prepared 3D files into GLB and told Claude to enable them. I explained to him that all my assets are already on the armature, and he basically just needs to show them. I also gave right names in Blender so he will see the right object names. And after a while, we got this, guys, some serious drip. So how does it work? So we can actually select a preset. Basically, that's a bunch of assets. Let's start with touch grass. I actually need to touch grass. Wear this wipe. And here we go, guys. Let's go. How cool is that? I think it's pretty sick, right? I actually enjoy making projects like that. The link will be in the description. You can play around with it. You can share with your friends with the card like that. The quiet flex, right? How about that? Like we can actually change it and it will re-evaluate. Boom. Can actually remove that. Why do we need pants, right? And I also added skins here that replace the body. So you can see like that. And I actually plan a separate video about character with skins. So guys, you know, subscribe. You're gonna be first to see that video. I'm gonna explain the power of texture work and show you quite cool use cases. Well, that's it. See you in the next video.